The movie begins with a satellite revolving around planets in the galaxy. It was taking a close look at each planet before shifting its focus towards Earth. On Earth, some American soldiers were shooting their guns while moving inside a building. They were also blasting parts of the structure and firing at enemy soldiers. They continued advancing, killing the soldiers in their path until the entire building was clear. After that, they came outside and eliminated the remaining soldiers who were defending themselves. Suddenly, all of them saw a mysterious spaceship in the sky. It fired something with a red light onto the ground. The soldiers, mesmerized, stared at the flying object, which was radiating electricity. In an instant, the electricity fell on them, capturing them. These were the memories of the soldier Kelly, who was now held inside a capsule filled with liquid. He suddenly remembered seeing sharp claws near his face, then a vision of his daughter, before letting out a huge scream. All at once, the capsules broke open, and the soldiers who had been trapped inside fell to the ground, coughing out the liquid. While coughing, they asked Jax if he knew what the liquid was. Jax, looking at his hand, said it was Prometheus, a substance that would evaporate in a few minutes. Everyone was surprised that he knew this and asked him how. Jax replied that he himself was still confused about how he knew it. Kelly took a picture of his daughter from his pocket, looked at it for a moment, then folded it back and put it away. One soldier speculated that they might have been kidnapped by Russians or Chinese forces. They looked around and noticed writings inscribed on the surrounding equipment. They realized it was not Chinese. Surprisingly, Reyes was able to read the inscriptions and explained that they were their names, along with a warning about an epidemic spreading across all humans on Earth. The soldiers looked at him in shock, but Reyes admitted he had no idea how he knew the language or how he was able to read it. They remembered being on the roads fighting enemy soldiers, but when they checked their guns, they were still fully loaded, leaving them confused. Kelly, their leader, told them they should escape before their captors realized they were free. As they moved forward, they came to a gate and tried to open it by pressing a button, but it did not work. They forced it open and proceeded ahead, finding another door. In that room, they noticed a vent and decided to climb through it, thinking it might lead to another way out. Reyes went first to check if it was safe. After confirming it was, the others followed. Inside, the soldiers looked around and saw scratches on the walls and door. They suspected that some kind of monster had been trapped inside, trying to escape, and had made the marks while clawing at the surfaces. One of them speculated that the place might be a maze, or perhaps an underwater prison. Suddenly, they heard mysterious sounds and began to follow them. Along the way, they noticed blood on the floor and started tracking the trail. They also saw broken door switches lying on the ground. They began to follow the clues with their guns raised, then entered a room filled with fog. Suddenly, drops of blood began to fall on their faces. They looked up and were horrified to see human bodies hanging upside down. Their heads, hands, and feet had been cut off. Looking around, they saw a girl tied to a pole who was still alive. They freed her. Her name was Ravi. Meanwhile, a mysterious alien monster entered the room and began attacking them. The soldiers fired at it with their guns, but the bullets had no effect. Nash found a different kind of weapon in another room, though he did not know how to use it. The monster advanced toward them, so Nash threw the weapon to Rhodey, who began firing it at the creature. The monster collapsed to the ground. Thinking it was dead, the soldiers gathered around, but suddenly the creature roared and prepared to attack again. Before it could strike, Ravi grabbed a gun and fired at the monster's eyes, finally killing it. She told them something in Russian, signaling them to follow her. As they followed, Kelly asked Ravi in Russian where they were. She replied in Russian, but before they could react, a swarm of monsters appeared. They fought back with laser guns, but the aliens also had laser weapons, forcing the group to retreat. Reyes stayed behind to cover their escape, continuing to fire at the attackers. As the others ran forward, they reached a door. Ravi spotted a lever and pulled it, closing the door behind them. However, knowing it could be opened from the other side, she jammed a knife into the lever to block it. The creatures began pounding on the door, trying to break through. The soldiers realized they needed another escape route. They spotted cables hanging from above and began climbing. At the top, they found a vent and started crawling inside. The door broke open just as Reyes grabbed the cables to climb up. A monster pulled him down, and at the same time, another began climbing into the vent. Rhodey shot the climbing monster in the head, killing it. The remaining soldiers finally reached another room via the vent. They were devastated at having lost 2 of their team. Nash began panicking and shouting again, but Kelly calmed him down. Kelly then asked Rhodey how he had figured out how to use the laser gun. Ravi, wounded from a monster's laser shot, leaned against a wall. Jax quickly covered her wound with a cloth. Kelly asked Ravi in Russian who the creatures were. She told them they were aliens. Nash started to panic again, but Rhodey urged him to have courage. Rhodey asked Kelly when he had learned to speak Russian, but Kelly replied that he did not know. Ravi told them they had to keep moving because the aliens knew their location. She believed there were motion sensors throughout the facility, allowing the creatures to track them. She also explained that the aliens were using humans as food. They passed through a door into a room with a bridge covered in lights. On closer inspection, they realized these were not lights but capsules containing human bodies. Ravi told them the people inside were still alive. Moving forward, they came across huge containers. Ravi explained that the aliens stored items they had taken from Earth inside these. The soldiers began discussing that their only way to survive was to kill the aliens. Ravi disagreed, but Jack still moved into a hallway and began singing to draw the monster's attention. Hearing his voice, the aliens came toward him. Jax fired his gun at them before hiding in a spot. The others attacked from their own positions, keeping themselves covered. Although the soldiers' guns had little effect, they thought the fight was over, but suddenly, another group of monsters burst through the door. They began shooting at the monsters again, but their gunfire was useless. The bullets did no harm, and even the laser guns had no effect because the creatures were using shields to block the attacks. They realized there were only two options: get killed or run. They started hiding inside containers to escape, but one of the creatures spotted Jax and shot him with a laser gun, killing him instantly. Rhodey retaliated, shooting the monster in the head and killing it, before the group continued running through another door. Ravi searched for a lever to close the door and quickly pulled it shut. But just as they secured it, another group of aliens entered through a different door. To protect themselves, the soldiers crawled into a tunnel in the wall and slid down, landing in a pool filled with human blood and flesh. The stench was overwhelming, and some soldiers began vomiting. Suddenly, a woman's voice called from above, telling them to climb up as she tossed down a rope. Ravi froze in shock. It was her mother, Anya. One by one, they climbed up, and Ravi hugged her mother tightly. The soldiers noticed the badge on Anya's arm and realized she was a Russian soldier. But this was not a war between nations. It was a war between humans and aliens. Anya guided them, carefully avoiding the ship's sensors, to another area, and then through a tunnel that led to a basement room decorated with strange designs on the walls. She asked the soldiers where they had woken up. Kelly explained that they had been fighting enemies on Earth when a mysterious object in the sky sent down an electric current, capturing them. Anya told them this was the trophy room, and no one could escape it unless the machine running it was shut down. Kelly asked when she had woken up. Anya replied that she had also been kidnapped and had long lost track of time, but believed it had been 20 to 30 years. Pointing to Ravi, she said this was why she thought Ravi had been born on the ship. Hearing this, the soldiers realized Ravi might indeed have never set foot on Earth. Anya explained that it was humanity's own fault, more specifically, NASA's. In 1977, NASA launched a probe into the galaxy to search for signs of life. The probe carried Earth's coordinates encoded in a map. Whoever found it could use those coordinates to travel to Earth, and that's exactly what the alien monsters did. The map was tied to the Egyptian god Osiris. The aliens' first move was to kidnap all military strategic planners, both from the land and the air forces. They then connected devices to the soldiers' brains to study human combat tactics. Anya warned them that the aliens were still studying human brains, and at the same time, contacting their other members on their home planet. Once the aliens established contact, it would be impossible to defeat them. Therefore, she said, they had to stop the aliens from communicating with their planet. Kelly, while cleaning the picture of his daughter, told the others that they might never return home after escaping the ship, so they should at least do something to help others. This motivated them to start a mission to kill all the aliens. Anya shared her plan, explaining that, according to her calculations, there were about 24 aliens left in this part of the ship, and another 24 on the top deck, who were even more powerful. They could try to go up, but because of the sensors, the aliens would easily detect them. Their only real option was to fight. Anya then opened a wooden crate, revealing a box filled with explosives and bombs. She, Nash, and Ravi would go to the top deck to plant the explosives, while Rhodey and Kelly would draw the monsters from the top deck down to them so they could set the bombs without being noticed. Anya gave Kelly a shield device and taught him how to activate and deactivate it. Anya, Ravi, and Nash took the vents to reach the top deck. When Anya and Nash arrived, Nash peeked through the gaps in the vent and saw two monsters on the top deck. Anya told him they had to wait until the monsters left. Meanwhile, on the bottom deck, Kelly noticed two cameras above the door. One was covered in blood, but the other was still active. He waved his hand in front of the camera to draw attention, then shot it to break it. The monsters who had seen him through the camera began moving toward them. Kelly and Rhodey stepped forward and attacked the monsters, using the shield to protect themselves from alien fire. They kept running, shooting at the aliens, and hiding in the corridors. The aliens on the top deck also went down, so Anya, Ravi, and Nash moved in to plant the bombs. However, the motion sensors detected Anya and Kelly's presence on the top deck, and several monsters started heading toward them. While planting the bomb, Anya realized the creatures were getting close. The attacking monsters held their shields up in front of them. Rhodey and Kelly tried to attack the aliens, but quickly realized there was no way to kill them like this. Rhodey pushed Kelly back into the corridor and shut the door, giving him cover while he faced the aliens. Rhodey killed several of them, but his laser gun stopped working. He switched to his old firearm, but it had no effect on the creatures. One alien lunged at him, wrapping its arm around his neck and lifting him off the ground. Rhodey stared at the alien, then detonated a bomb, killing them both. Meanwhile, on the top deck, Anya and Nash were moving forward while closing doors behind them, but the aliens still managed to find them. The three of them fought back, but the monsters defended themselves with their shields. One alien fired a laser shot at Anya. Ravi saw it and screamed for her mother, but Nash pulled Ravi aside. Anya, holding the bomb detonator, pressed the button, triggering all the explosives they had planted on the top deck. The chamber exploded and collapsed. Nash hid Ravi inside a compartment, covering her, then began singing to lure the aliens toward him. He killed them one by one as they approached, but when a large group charged forward, he prepared to detonate a bomb and die with them. After Nash left, Ravi uncovered herself and came out, only to be caught by an alien standing behind her. Elsewhere, Kelly reached a corridor containing a prison where many humans were still alive. Before he could free them, a monster attacked from behind, knocking him unconscious. In his unconscious state, Kelly dreamed of his daughter playing happily on Earth until a beam of light enveloped her, and aliens abducted her into their ship. He woke up in a jail cell, seeing Ravi in the cell across from him and other prisoners in adjacent ones. A monster entered, dragging Kelly out by his foot. It hung him upside down and began to cut into his arms. Suddenly, Nash, who had been hiding in the lower deck, shot and killed the creature. They escaped, fighting their way through the corridors and freeing Ravi and the other prisoners. Alien guards swarmed in, but Kelly and Nash used laser guns to cut them down. When they saw a huge number of aliens ahead, Nash pulled the belt of bombs from his waist, tossed it into the corridor, and shut the door. The blast killed all the aliens inside. Nash smiled, thinking they had wiped out the last of the monsters, but suddenly an alien stabbed him through the chest from behind the door. The door slid open, and the alien stepped through. Ravi recognized him instantly. It was the leader. Kelly grabbed a knife and lunged at the alien, but the leader was far stronger. He slammed Kelly to the floor. Kelly's knife clattered away, and the alien picked it up, moving in to kill him. Suddenly, Ravi triggered the door mechanism. The alien was caught between the closing panels and crushed to death. Kelly looked up at Ravi, who was peering through an opening in the roof. Sunlight poured over her. She was hesitant to climb up, but Kelly moved forward and climbed up. After him, she followed. Kelly stood at the top of the ship and looked around to see the whole world, destroyed by the aliens.